Hello. It's
Hello.
that time again. Oh yes.
Good.
It's that time again. Oh, that was sad.
That just bombed.
Oh, and I just started the music over. There we go.
The saddest Thomas the Tank Engine ever.
Fine, you want a better one here? That better?
More energy. Good.
That looks so wild on the waveform.
Looks so wild on the camera too, but you know.
Well,
Clipped much?
no, it didn't actually clip. But anyway,
Good compressor.
it is a good compressor. But anyway, hello. What's up, my friends? It's been a little while.
It has.
As for me,
Yes, it has. Well, I suppose.
In fact, I don't. It's very difficult to collectively get us all together again at the moment, isn't it?
Isn't it though?
yeah, it is.
Well, you know what?
But that's life.
Hold that thought, because I have a few things to say here. And I'm going to show us our faces, because it is time to say hello, everyone, and welcome back to Boosters and Space Tape Relaunched, the podcast about Kerbal Space Program, real space, and other cool and sciencey stuff. My name is Matoro, and today's date is Saturday, June 24th, 2023, and we are back. Hello. And with me today for this episode are my great friends and fellow hosts, the Thunder from Down Under, the derailer himself, Mr. Digital Psychosis.
Bonjour.
Welcome back, my friend.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to be back.
It's good to have you back. And as always, our friend, our fellow editor, our chief editor, and our favorite friend we love to torment.
One person stupid enough to do that. That's me.
The one and only, the underscore, Mr. Akinesis Gaming.
Hello.
Hello. So yes.
G'day.
Hello. Good day. Wait. You're back in the UK. You shouldn't say that.
No, I shouldn't. It's our habits.
It's fair. But yes, unfortunately today Red isn't feeling all that well and is going to be away. So let's take this moment to all wish him well. Red, we hope you feel better soon and look forward to your return.
I need to say something though.
Oh, you do now.
You got his offline camera but online red face.
I'll fix
on
it.
your stream.
I'll fix it.
Right.
I'll fix it.
People might.
He
think
just needs one of those symbols with the circle with the line through it.
no red.
Just throw it over the top. Just
Hold on. I got this. Let me find the camera.
He's got it. He's making it happen.
I've got something better.
Oh, he's gonna put himself up in multiple angles. That's the way Matoro is gonna fix this. He's gonna point two cameras at himself.
No. Just
We're
hold
gonna
on.
get one that goes straight up his nose.
There we go. Now it's just faded.
No signal. There you
Faded.
go.
No signal. I love it. It's brilliant.
I realised that the
Perfect.
chat popped out.
I have a good idea every now and then.
It's very good. It's
Thank
very
you.
good.
I was going to hue shift, but that didn't make sense.
We miss you. We miss you, Red. It will be good to catch up with you next recording.
Most definitely. But let us see. It is what? It's been 2 weeks? Jeez, the time flies. Well, 2 weeks for Hacky and I. It's been a little while for you, Digi.
It's been like 4. Yeah, I was otherwise occupied last time around.
A little bit, yeah.
Should I talk about that? Do my quick update?
I think
Might as well
we
start
should.
with me, right?
Yeah, why not? Let's go.
Let's rock and roll, guys. I was out last time around because I was having a procedure done that unfortunately meant that I was away or at least in recovery for a couple of weeks. So I was not able to be in attendance. As far as my recovery has gone, like I've recovered perfectly fine. So yay, everything's good.
Good.
I am all right now and able to do a recording, but it means that I've been taking it easy for the last few weeks. So yeah, basically everything's good. Nothing to worry about. I'm good. It was all routine. Everything was fine. And I am perfectly good, but that means that when I saw the patch notes come through 24 hours ago, I didn't actually have an opportunity to try anything out. So I've been basically sitting on my butt with a controller when I have played games, and I've been painting a lot of miniatures. So, you know, that's basically been my life for the last couple of weeks.
To be fair, you paint a lot of miniatures.
I have a lot of miniatures. That doesn't mean I paint a lot of miniatures.
We've had this discussion before. You've painted a lot of miniatures.
Yeah, I've half painted a lot of miniatures.
Okay,
yeah,
fair.
A lot of miniatures to go.
I have ADHD. That means that I never finish projects.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's actually a thing. That was one of the symptoms that I brought up when I was getting tested for ADHD, funnily enough. And I said, yeah, I actually paint a lot of miniatures. I have a lot of them that are incomplete. And the psychiatrist basically went, all right, tick, 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 tick. Very big
I think
sign
I know what's going
right
on
there.
here.
Yep. That's a big one.
What's going on here?
Adventure Kid asked what sort of miniatures. Warhammer. I've been into Warhammer since 1996. Yes, I am that old.
I've got a load
Anyway.
of BattleTech miniatures to
You're not
paint.
old. You're experienced.
Experienced, yeah. True. I want BattleTech miniatures. I have to order them from overseas because I don't know of any Australian stockists. Actually, that's probably a lie. I probably do. I just never really looked. I'm going to go and have a look at that because I freaking love BattleTech.
You're going to go and have a look at that,
if you need help
and then
with
you're going to
that, I
have
could
finish
send
that
some out to
project.
you.
Yeah, I'm going to half finish it, of course.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to talk over you, Aki.
No.
It was perfect though. So accurate. But here's the other part that is ADHD as well. I talk over people. I just interpret what they're going to say as the rest of their sentence and just talk over them. So
You can't be bothered to let them finish their sentence. You'll just finish it for them.
correct.
Move on.
Yeah. I extrapolate from
I
incomplete
have no
data.
patience for you.
Correct. Precisely. Like, I know what you're going to say. Just shut up and I will talk.
I'll finish it.
There's the derail explained. You're all welcome.
It all makes
Excellent.
sense now.
Now it makes sense. Exactly. I am, I have a medical condition.
All this time, I thought you were just excited about what I'm talking about, but
Exactly.
actually, no,
I
you can't
actually
be bothered for me to finish.
Correct. I just have a medical condition.
Get on with
Sorry,
it, Aki.
guys.
Go.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to handball over to Aki then, and then we will let you take the reins, Mater, to finish things off.
Okay, I picked up a new game actually.
Oh,
I've been
really?
playing a lot of KSP 1, but I'll talk. I keep. Do you know what? I keep saying I played a lot of KSP 1. I'll talk about it in the KSP section, and then we never talk about it.
Let's fix
I will
that today.
Try and do that. Let's try and fix that today.
Let's try and fix that. Yeah.
But I've picked up a new game called Sea of Thieves, which I thought I'd try.
New
Mate,
game.
when are we going sailing?
Have you got it?
When are we going sailing?
Whenever you want. I'm more than happy to go whenever you want.
I am pirate legend, mate. Like I've been playing the crap out of that for donkeys.
I thought it smelled a bit of Digi.
Right?
So,
Let's go.
yeah.
Let's go sail, please. It's fun.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Cool. I'm definitely up for that.
All right.
For friends. I've also I bought a new hard drive. It was an M.2 hard drive for the computer, but my old hard drive wasn't big enough. My backup hard drive wasn't big enough to transfer everything over. So I had to buy a new hard drive as well, and it took hours to transfer everything over to the backup hard drive. So tomorrow, I've actually waited on purpose. Tomorrow, I will take apart my computer and swap all the hard drives around, because I haven't installed where I was going with this is I haven't installed the new KSP yet, the new version 0.1.3, because I've got no space on my hard drive until I upgrade it.
Yeah, what's the point?
So that's tomorrow's project. But I knew that if I tried to do that today, it would all go wrong and I wouldn't be able to record this podcast. So I've delayed it on purpose. And other than that, I've been continuing renaming all the old episodes. Digi, I don't think you'll hear, but for the first God knows how many episodes of this podcast, right back from the beginning, I just called each episode number whatever, Boosters and Space Tape, a Kerbal Space Program podcast, which gave no clue as to the context of the content of the episode. So I'm going back and re-listening to each individual episode over again to find out what the content was, so I can then change the title accordingly. Bit of an update.
This is seasons worth.
Yes.
Seasons
Well,
worth
actually,
of
we just
episodes.
passed our 50th episode. This is episode 52 that we're recording now.
Oh,
Nice.
right.
Which,
Yeah, you
as I
mentioned that
explained,
last time.
Yeah, it might sound okay that we've done over 50 episodes, but over the 8 years we've been recording, it's actually averaged out as to one episode every 2 months that we release. So it's not overly impressive.
You know what? I'm not going to say that's a problem because the podcast that I did prior to this, we did 104 episodes. All right, there were 104 episodes, and it was basically an episode every single week. That was an episode every week, and we would take 2 weeks off between seasons, right? And we did 5 seasons, I think it was, all up. So basically 2.5 years. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot of work, right? And we tried for fresh content every single week. The sheer fact that, aside from having a couple of years gap in the middle because of coronavirus, a global pandemic, and a complete uproot of all of our lives, not to doom and gloom the whole thing, it was pretty significant in the state of the world. If we take that out, 6 years is not too bad. That's not too bad.
Well, there was
Hold on.
Prograde as well, which I haven't counted. And but also, we do cover a lot of content, actually. We cover a lot of topics. Not just KSP, it's the real space stuff as well. I mean, we were reporting on Philae,
Oh, I forgot
the
about
whole
Philae.
Dawn thing, Cassini when it was still going around Saturn, the Hello Pluto, before New Horizons even got to Pluto. We're talking about all of that.
Actually, I have another context point for you. How many minutes?
Well, we average on 90 minutes an episode.
Average on 90 minutes, because that one that I used to do was basically an hour at maximum content-wise every single week. So if we were doing 90 minutes on average every, we're pretty much looking at about 80 episodes comparably.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Like, feather in
I've
our
just done a
caps.
quick
We've
bit of
done pretty
maths.
well, all right?
And we've got about 80 hours of content.
Yeah, there you go.
Just on the
80
KSP
hours.
stuff. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not
I'll
bad.
take it.
When you put it like
There's some
that, I
listening there.
mean, that's a lot of content.
That's not insignificant, That's about half of the amount of time I've spent playing Monster Hunter World. So, it's not too bad.
Actually, don't compare it to computer game. It will be a dismal amount.
That's about a quarter of my crack addiction, man.
80 hours.
Yeah.
I do that in a day playing KSP.
Hang on, I got to do some math here.
Oh, the quick maths, trying to justify how good we are. Like, we need that confidence boost, right?
Hang on,
Yes,
did
I'll
I do
definitely
that?
hook up with you in Sea of Thieves. It's a guy. It used to be called Falcor Gaming, but in fact, it was listening to these old episodes. I've come across. And Digi, again, I was talking about all this while you've been away because it's kicked up a lot of old nostalgia. Listening to these things like Squadcast. We were talking about. Remember Squadcast?
Oh,
Used
Squadcast.
to go across, and remember the mods, Squeaky Kerbals. All of these things that. But it's also the people as well. Squeaky Kerbals. It's also all these people as well that not only were guests but used to be part of the KSP community. And there's a guy called Falcor Gaming who's now called Captain Falcor. And I thought, well, what's he up to these days? Because we used to interact quite a lot. And now he's a Sea of Thieves partner. So I was watching him playing Sea of Thieves, and I thought I could play that game.
It's a lot of fun.
Our amount of content amounts to 18% of the time I've played City Skylines.
See, it's not insignificant either, right?
Well, no, it's not. It's
18, pretty close
Actually,
to 20%. You know, that's about as much as the discount currently is on KSP2. You know, it's pretty close, right? Like, it's not bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
Nice hooking, but I'm going to steal the hook away from you and just say that
Speaking
there's
of
a
piracy.
better... Yes. There's yeah. That was actually accidental.
Oh my
but
God.
You're welcome.
I should have owned that. Yeah.
We do
We've
not
been recording
condone
this
piracy
podcast
around
for-
here.
No, we don't. We've been doing this podcast for nearly a quarter of Voyager's lifetime.
Oh.
Now,
Wow.
that's
What?
a better way to look at this.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
That's hectic. That is.
It is. That's significant. Well, I think it's significant, and it brings it back to space. And looking at your two faces, we should move on at this point. I think that's the better way to leave.
I love data.
KSP podcast.
Matoro,
Yes.
how are you, buddy?
I drove 11 hours today.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
are you still upright?
I have no
It was actually
idea.
hit or miss whether we do this, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Look, there was a
We
launch
almost bumped the
yesterday
episode.
morning. I was in Florida. I was like, I'm not leaving without this one. No, I got it.
So please tell us what was the launch you were at that you weren't going to miss because my God.
So rolling it back, rolling it back to last Saturday.
Was it?
Rolling it back to last Saturday, I left for Florida ahead of the penultimate launch of Delta IV Heavy, which was scheduled for Wednesday morning at god-awful o'clock. I think it was like 3:19 before they moved it. So, yeah, I went down there for that, but I went a little early because there was a Falcon 9 launch on Sunday the 19th. And got that one. Went great. Got some great remote shots out of it. That was the launch of Satria. And, yeah, go check my Twitter, my at DavidJDPhotos for that one. Yeah. I got some good stuff on there. But Delta 4 was the big one.
That was at DavidJDPhotos.
That's me. But yeah, also on there are my photos from the Delta 4 Heavy launch. The second to last one ever. And oh my God, it was gorgeous. It was so good.
Aki, cue the appropriate music. Like if Matoro is going to get all wishy-washy, like we need to have the sad violins. If he's going to get all dramatic and hype about it, it needs to be something with punch.
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony. Exactly. Friendship is magic. And go, Matoro.
God damn it. So yes, Delta 4.
I don't know why, but we always seem to steal your thunder away when you're talking about rockets. I don't know if you just leave yourself wide open or what it is, but sorry, carry on.
Anyway,
Matoro
Delta 4
usually gives the sound effect cues. It's my turn.
Yeah. Digi's back.
There you go. But yes, Delta 4 was scheduled for 3:19 a.m. on Wednesday. Media, all of us were gathering at our meeting spot at about, I think our departure time was 1:30. I think it was about 1 o'clock. The majority of people are getting there scrubbed because of GSE issues. So rinse and repeat 24 hours later. Yep. Rinse and repeat 24 hours later.
Isn't it about time you invested in a camper van?
That's a whole nother topic.
This sounds like you need a camper van now.
But wait, this gets worse. Because around 1 o'clock in the morning, we're all starting to meet. And then ULA calls, they're pushing it to 5:19 in the morning. No, 5:30. It was some absurd number. Hang on, it's on my spreadsheet.
What?
5:18. It was 5:18 in the morning. Yeah. Because there was weather earlier in the day that
right.
there was weather earlier in the day that prevented them from rolling back the mobile service tower. So they had to delay the preparations by a few hours. So we got a pre-dawn launch. It was gorgeous. But my God, that was a long day.
Yeah.
Was it worth it though?
Oh,
I don't envy you.
oh, was it worth it? Yes. Oh yeah.
It's a frustrating hobby you've got there, isn't it? Really.
It's got
Is it
its
a hobby?
trials.
Is it more? Is it border? Is it this like more of a profession now?
Kind of in the middle. I don't get paid for it. Well, I don't get paid for it at often at all. If you want to help support, you can buy my photo prints. I'll get the photos up for Delta tonight.
And I gotta
didn't
say,
actually know
they're
you could
pretty.
buy your photos.
Oh yeah, you can.
I will buy some of your photos, Mater.
They're pretty
so you-
sexy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: it's weird being in a house where your own work is hanging up. That's not your own home, because where I stayed with friends that I've never stayed with before. One of them bought some prints a few months ago, and it was just like, "Oh yeah, I took that." Huh?
Oh, that was me.
I
cool.
did that. Yeah.
We've said before, the amount of computer desktops that are probably, or mobile phones that have probably got your pictures now as backgrounds.
Probably a couple. My own included, because I'm needy like that. By the way,
No, no.
Satria. That's my Satria photo.
Well,
You know what?
in
I
fact,
think
what I'll do from now on is link your website into the show notes of every episode of this.
I'm not talking to you, Siri.
No one's talking.
You're not
to
part of this
Siri.
podcast.
I have just realized that I should be having my desktop wallpaper rotating between pictures that Matoro has taken. Why am I not doing this?
I can send you high res versions too.
I'm not going to say no to that.
Excellent. This can be arranged. But
Okay, let's talk, my friend.
We'll put your
will
website
talk.
here.
Huh?
David
your
JD
website
Photos.
Yep.
David JD Photos. David JD Photos.
Here, I'll put it in the chat for you.
There we
I'll
go.
put it in the podcast show notes or the podcast.
If you
description from now on
if
as
you
well.
ever need to find the most magnificent photographs taken of rocket launches
There you go.
across the United States, Google yourself the wonderful David JD Photos.
That's me. But-
And you will be able to find it.
Yes. But my story is not done yet, because yesterday, as I mentioned, there was another launch, a third one, at long last. It has taken 6 years for me to get 3 in one trip, but I finally got it. I got 3 in one trip, and the best part is, the booster that launched yesterday morning, B1069.
Ha! Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, we talked about this a few episodes ago. Nice.
Nice.
You
My
said
shots-
you'd retire at this point as well.
No. That was my 68th launch. My next one is 69. But it was Falcon 9
There we go.
B1069 that launched yesterday. It was just some more Starlink satellite,
Okay.
so it's whatever. Shots didn't really turn out, but I don't care. I got 3 in one trip. I'm happy.
That's good. 3 in 1 trip's pretty good.
And then after that, I left there, went across Florida, saw another friend, had a lovely dinner with him, ate something called a gator steak. It is exactly what you think it is. It is a steak.
I have a rule. I don't eat anything that can eat me.
I
But-
think your rule is flawed. I had crocodile once, and it was absolutely delicious.
If it's anything like that, alligator, oh yeah.
Fishy chicken.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Fishy.
fishy chicken.
Why does everything taste like chicken?
But that's exactly
with a
what it's
twist.
like. Like, same texture as chicken, same flavor as chicken, but it's got this sort of fishy, oceany sort of smell, right, and taste to it underlying. It's really, really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Highly recommend.
But yeah,
I ate kangaroo and got salmonella.
wait, for the viewers. Wait, what?
Really?
Yeah, that was something I don't want to repeat again.
I've
a lot
eaten
of
the
weight.
crap. I've eaten the crap out of some kangaroo. My God, delicious.
For those watching on the stream though, you'll see on my phone here, that was the gator steak.
Oh my God,
It looks like KFC.
it's deep fried.
Yes. and it came with a
That's
baked
phenomenal.
potato. I know. It was so good.
What do you have with gator steak? Baked potato, of course.
It's Florida. I don't know how to explain it.
All right, so this was not to steal your thunder here, since you're talking about delicious deep fried
go.
goodness, right? When I had crocodile, I had King Island prawns, I had kangaroo, and I think it was an emu steak as well.
This is
And
the
it was
most Australian-sounding meal
most
ever.
Australian thing ever, right? It was it was known as a surf and turf,
With a side of dingo.
right?
That's all
But
it's
it was a stone grill as well.
Okay.
So they literally brought out a hot piece of stone and put it in front of me and said, "Here's your food, cook it yourself." And I got to cook it exactly the way that I wanted it, and it was delicious.
That is amazing.
So highly recommend a stone grill with a surf and turf with those ingredients. Kangaroo, slowly you turn it multiple times because it's a really gamey meat. Delicious. Oh, I want to do that again.
This sounds amazing.
Anyway, enough about food. I like
Welcome to
food.
KSP.
I have to go to Australia
Welcome
one
to
day, aren't I?
KSP.
Podcast.
Wonder what Kerbal tastes like.
What do you reckon it would?
Guacamole?
I don't
I've
know.
got an idea. It'll be quite tough because
I don't know.
they can take a bit of punishment, can't they?
Well, their body shape is a little strangely shaped. So is it, if you look at their midsection, right, is that all muscle? Because the muscle's where you get the meat, right? And the fats are what creates the juiciness. So what's the ratio of meat to fat in a Kerbal?
I think we're going a little too far into this.
Ladies and gents,
Dry-
please, let's
dry
move
pork.
on to the Kerbal Space Program section of the podcast.
How about we do? Because, yeah, that does it for me.
You're the weirdest segue ever. What does a Kerbal taste like? I don't know. Let's talk about Kerbals.
Yeah, I mean, after yesterday's launch, I went and had that gator steak, stayed at my buddy's place for the night, then woke up, drove home, and here we are.
The gator
Talking about
steak has had an impact.
Yes, it has. But as Aki said, as Digi said, it is time that we move on to the Kerbal Korner.
What's Kerbal's skin like? Is it scaly?
Oh,
like a
good
croc?
God.
Is it, or is it like pork? You know, can you salt it up and it crackles?
It's a bit leathery.
Remember how I
Leathery.
threatened to shut this podcast off?
Melon skin, like a soft melon.
A soft melon.
Watermelon.
So, we have
Wonderful.
patch notes.
Yes. We do. Shall I talk about the patch notes? Would you like me to kick things off? sir?
That'd be lovely.
I would be very, very happy to. Ladies and gents, I'm going to try and make it easy on my friends here because it is very late for Mr. Akinesis, and Mr. Matoro is in Sleepy Townville having driven all day, as we mentioned earlier.
I'm okay.
And I've just woken up, so I have all of the energy in the world.
Honestly, I'm feeling good.
Great.
You're in trouble, Major.
You're all fucked. Like, let's face it.
That's a beep.
Oh, there we go. All right. So patch notes have come out for a version 0.1.3.0. I mean, I'm guessing that's for hot fixes and such. This was posted, according to my side, Friday, June the 23rd. It may be something different for our US friends because time zones. There's been quite a considerable number of changes that have been made, lots of bug fixes, particularly in relation to flight and map. The list is quite long there. The second category they've got is EVA. Now, some of them are quite amusing. Where's the one about T-poses? It might be further on down the list. I will talk about that in a moment. Optimizations, there's quite a number of optimizations. One that I am very, very happy about. Saving and loading changes. I still need to test whether there's any rude events, as I call them, rapid unplanned disassembly events that happen when loading the game. I still need to test that. Parts and stock vessels, a few more parts have been added, such as engines and air brakes. finally, we have the air brakes back. UI and UX, there is a very big change. I'll talk more about that in a moment. Construction, environments, FX and audio, tutorials, they've all had a few changes here and there, localization changes as well, and modding. There is a change that has been to address some issues with mods. Now, the amusing one that I saw about T-poses is that when Kerbals were in the cockpit, they would be randomly T-posed. It was weird. I'd seen it a couple of times. I just played it off, and all you basically got was the chest section where you could see the model T-posing, and you got the chest section. Literally the best part to cook. That would be all you would see in those little viewports, right? It's like temptation, right? Salt it up, bit of pepper's fine, don't worry. And apparently that has now been fixed, which is great because that was a little visual bug that was a nice little annoying one. Adventure Kid liked the delivery of that. You're welcome. The air brakes was wonderful, but the biggest thing, this is the biggest bug fix that isn't really a bug. It's more of a feature. It's a feature change, and I'm very, very happy. I'm so glad they finally implemented it because every other goddamn game on the planet has it,
including KSP 1.
Including KSP 1. Scalable UI.
There we go.
They've finally introduced a scalable UI.
Thank
that
God.
Is wonderful because the size of that nav ball was obnoxious. It hurt my head. It was the size of my head on the screen. It was like I was trying to play the damn game on a 3DS. Right?
Oh,
it was taking up that much space. Absurd. I am very glad that they have brought that in. Thank you. I don't know whether they've been listening to the podcast where I've mentioned that it's too big. I'm just very, very thankful that they've made that change. It's a huge difference, or at least it's going to make a huge difference for me, or a small difference depending on how I scale it. The ability to see more on the screen is really important. If they have scaled the UI in flight and they haven't changed the UI scaling in VAB, then they still have more to do because the UI scaling in VAB sucks too. I will have a look at this.
It is actually quite big. Yeah.
It's quite big. It's quite obnoxious. It's like you're looking at the interface of an indie title from like 15 years ago, right? Or even let's go back to Bullfrog Games. Like it's the interface from Theme Hospital in the late 90s, you know.
Great.
Nothing wrong with it in the late 90s on a 17-inch or even a 15-inch bloody CRT monitor, no problem when you're at 640 by 480 resolution. But it's 2023, right?
Yeah.
We need more screen real estate. We're building rockets, not remote control cars. We need as much real estate as we can get. Please, 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 UI scaling all of the way so that we can see more of what we're creating. It helps. I still need to test it though. I'm very hopeful it's in there. If it's not, then guys, please, this is my feedback. Please work on that too. Guys, I'm gonna hand over to you for some opinions. I believe there was one mentioned before the show that I think is kind of relevant.
Before we get into that, I just want to say, my question is, I see they added docking ports. Do they f***ing work yet?
No, we don't know.
Well, apparently they do. Looking at the dev notes that followed on from that 24 hours later, the dev notes do indicate that those ports work.
Okay. All right. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, so the big post that was put up afterwards, basically the dot points at the very top. Now, guys, if you want to see any of this information, this is actually available on Steam. You just go to the Steam community pages and you'll see all of the updates there. Otherwise, just go to the forums, go to the website, have a look at that sort of stuff. Like
It's
all
easy to
there,
find.
So I'll run through it pretty quickly though. New parts, including 3 new engines, new docking ports, and the air brake, which they have put dots between all of the letters, so that makes it look like air brake is an acronym. I want to know what that acronym is.
That's how it was in KSP1.
Yeah, I know, but I don't remember from KSP1 what the acronym was, and I've forgotten all about it. All right. Remember, for years we flew through soup. So,
yeah, that's fair.
The flight HUD UI is now rescalable via player settings. VAB, please. Please do VAB next. Thanks. Several decoupling related flight bugs have been resolved. Good, because decoupling was a problem.
I've got it. Aerodynamically integrated retrograde braking, robustly armed kinetic extending system.
Oh my God, that's... I'm okay with this. Because it says everything and says nothing.
It does.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of acronym. It's
Well,
perfect.
originally a C7 part.
It was, yes.
Amazing. All right.
Based on the F-15's air brake.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's what it says right here on the Kerbal Wiki.
I should read the wiki more. It's been a while. Next, we knocked out several of the vehicle falls through terrain bugs. Oh, that's good.
Goody.
Great, cool. You can land on things and stay landed. We nailed that really annoying VAB bug that kept you from pushing down procedural parts after picking them up. I did notice this bug.
I think I remember seeing
it's a weird bug.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really weird. Procedural parts, there are still some really weird bugs with procedural parts and how you deploy them in the VAB. I'm glad that they're working on them and like treating them with some priority, because there aren't the default parts of, hey, here is a prefabricated thing that you can put things in. Here is the tube, you put shit in it. Like that, there is nothing that is already made for that. Everything is procedural. If they had that, I would probably say, take your time on the procedural stuff. We'll work around it. But everything's procedural. Please continue to treat it with importance. Thank you. We strengthened wing attachments with a new automatic multi-joint system. Okay.
All right.
We talked about this before. So the problem they had with procedural wings is they just fall off in flight. And that's because you can make a huge wing as big as you like, but it's only got one little tiny attachment node.
Amazing.
So that was the problem. Which is okay if you got stock wings like KSP1 or standard size wings, because the attachment node is proportional to the size of the wing. So it works.
Of course.
Cool. When you've got huge wings and a tiny little attachment node, it caused problems. So they basically auto-strutted it.
You know what? That's good. That's good. That's real good.
I guess it's better than the front falling off.
Yeah, right. Because the front fell off.
It's not supposed to do that.
It's amazing.
It's very unusual.
I love Clarkendor. Mr. Clark, may you rest in peace, sir. You were very, very funny. We fixed the asymmetrical separation forces on radial decouplers, restoring the beauty of booster separations. Great.
Okay, cool.
Maybe I won't destroy the back end of my rocket every time I launch it. Because asymmetrical separation forces on radial decouplers, I have seen this, and it has destroyed my main engine more times than I can count. Yes.
Yeah.
Real good. Real good. So they're the Cliff's Notes on what has happened there. Also, the Steam sale. They
Steam
have
sale.
now. I'll let you guys talk a little more about this, but I want to highlight that this is advertised in the dev notes. With summer upon us, Private Division is holding a 20% off sale for KSP2. This sale ends on July 13th. If you've got a friend who has an interest in participating in early access, now is a great time to hop on board. Now, I will let you guys speak about this, but I do want to say one thing. I purchased it when it was released. It's still a buggy mess. Like, and now you're offering it 20% less? Okay, what do I get as an early adopter? Like, what do I get as an early adopter? Like, what incentive did I have to purchase this? Because I want to be clear, and I'm not going to be the guy to do it. In Australia, we have quite a number of consumer laws that say that I can actually request a refund from you and simply go purchase it again at the reduced price. So, suggestion, Private Division, consider the early adopters and perhaps something to further incentivize them. All right?
We
Go. I have said my bit. Feel free to speak.
Okay. We've been talking. I don't really want to dwell on it too much, although we probably will, because it's probably the hottest subject about KSP. So we're talking about this last time, Digi, with Coffee here, and the point I made is that when KSP turned up, let's use a train analogy. A little shunter came rolling up with a couple of wagons on the back. It looked fun. It looked interesting. And they said, come aboard. It's free. Or at the stage I got in, it's a few bucks.
Yeah.
Do you want to hop in? I said, I like the look of those wagons. I like where this train's going. Yeah, I'll jump on.
You got a nice little caboose there. I want to hop on board your caboose.
Tidy little caboose. And we got on that train, and we had a lot of fun. There was a lot of frustration. It caught fire a few times.
Wasn't
The front
perfect.
fell off,
Derailed on more than one occasion. But by the time we got to the end, it was a very nice train with a lot of nice wagons, all nice paintwork, plenty going on, plenty to do. We got off. We were exhausted, but we loved it. We had a fantastic time. There were laughs, there were tears, and it was just, on the whole, a lot of fun. But it was exhausting. And then another train pulled up in the next station saying, hey, we're just like that other train. Exactly like it, but better still, we got more. We got bigger wagons with a lot more going on. And you turn around and look at this train, and it's completely on fire. Whereas the other one, it wasn't on fire to begin with. But this new one, it's on fire. It's a diesel. It's smoking, billows of smoke coming out of it. And they said, come on this train. And we went, doesn't look very good. What's the ticket price? Full price. Twice as much as that game is in its finished state with the expansions. No. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to get on another train that's going to go on the same ride, but costs several times more than the first one did. And that's kind of where I'm at with KSP2. KSP1, and the whole point is the price. I think the whole point and the problem with KSP2 is it hinges off the price. If KSP2 was priced better, it can be a little bit more than KSP1 was. Just going off the back of the success of KSP1, but not at the price that it is. I think if they sold it at a reasonable price, different prices, different countries, but how much was it in America?
$60.
Later. And it was
That's
80
full
or
price.
90 in Australia. I think it was 40,
$90,
50
yeah.
quid here. Yeah.
Yep.
So if it was half of that, or ideally a third of that, then I don't think there'd be this huge problem that Private Division is having at the problem it's having at the moment. I don't think it would be there because I think everyone gone. We know this is early access. We know there's a skip that's on fire, but it was priced well, and we want to help you. We had fun with KSP 1. We're happy to do that again. But I think because of the price level they've come in at, everyone's just gone. We know it's early access, but you've charged us top whack for this, and we expected it to be a lot better than where it's at. And Digi, as we said in the previous episode, it's missing all the key features. The selling point of KSP2, the extra solar, the multiplayer, all of that, which is what all of the dev videos showed off in its development before it was released. It always showed those things off, and it showed them working and operating and pictures of these new places, but they are nowhere to be seen in KSP2 on its release. And more than that, these things that they've promised from the start aren't happening until the very end of the roadmap, which is years away. If we're being honest, it's a good 3 or 4 years away. And yeah, to come in now and then say, "Oh, we'll give you 20% off."
It's just a slap in the face.
A little bit of a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the face for the people that have been on the ride so far.
Yeah.
Really. And it just shows that they're struggling as well. I think this just shows that they are struggling because they're having to reduce the price.
Like, I have a theory as to why this is happening right now, and I'll get onto that in a moment. But Matoro, what was that quote?
Yeah, I was going to say, this really ties into something I read on Twitter last week, which was in response to comments that I believe it was Nate made about the wobbly rockets issue. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it went something like, it feels like the devs are making a game for themselves and not for the players.
What they want to make and not making it for the players.
Exactly.
Now, I think that actually has some merit, right? And I think that's because of another issue that people may not be considering. The reason why this sale exists, and this is my opinion, I have no facts to back this up, but this is what I believe may be part of the root cause. If you look at the statistics of how many people are playing KSP2 at the moment, the statistics are extremely low. The data that the team need at Private Division, that they need to make effective changes that actually support the community, they need people playing the game. They need people playing the game. They need the data. They need the bug reports. They need all of these things. And I don't think that they're getting it. Like, they got a heap of them to begin with, and then because people have filtered off and gone, "Oh, well, I'll go back and play KSP 1, or I'll just shelve it and come back to it in a year," those sorts of things, because of the bugs, they're not getting the data that they need. So they create a sale, it incentivizes more people to play the game, right? The people that wouldn't normally pick it up at the price that they're marking it at. I feel it's a data gap for them, and that's the reason why they're offering it cheaper.
And that
so
makes
that they can
sense.
get more people doing it. Again, I have nothing to support that, but it's a theory.
I mean, it makes sense, though.
But even with 20% off, it's still a high price.
It is.
Still a high price game.
Even with 20% off.
And I think ultimately we're going to flog a dead horse at that point, right? It is not priced correctly. It is not priced correctly.
No.
We know this. We accept this. Offering it at a discounted price is purely a data thing for me, I reckon.
It's still $40 US. That's.
And I still think the whole problem with KSP2 hinges off the price.
Mm-hmm.
The whole problem.
Like,
if it came in at a
100%.
low price point, then no one would be complaining. They probably have better reviews on Steam because they've gone, "Oh, well, it is a buggy mess, but it was very cheap and I'm getting a lot of fun out of it. I want to help these guys out."
Yep.
Because they've sold it at AAA price, everyone's gone, "Well, selling at that point, we expected more. I'm sorry, but we expected more."
And you know
Especially from their previews.
It's cool that you've got a roadmap. Having a roadmap is great. if your issue is that selling it at the high price is going to include all of those things, unfortunately, you're going to have to go you should have gone the other route, which is charge less for the base game and DLC it later.
Yep.
If those features are not coming until later, you have to DLC it, or else this is what happens. Right.
There's 2 points I can make from the dev notes regarding this. First of all, like you said, Digi, tell a friend.
Yeah.
It's 20% off. To be honest, if I was going to recommend KSP 2 to a friend, I'd say get KSP 1 and wait out on KSP 2. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what's next after this patch, the 0.1.3 patch? There will be a 0.1.4, I think is safe to say.
He's even noted it in those notes.
Yeah, and they said, what's next? The science update will be the next thing. That's the first step in the roadmap.
Yep.
The first step in the roadmap is the science update. And they said it is several months away.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the 0.2.0 release will be that one.
Yep.
Several months away, that could be the end of the year. Because we're not that far from the end of the year now, really, when it comes to game development.
If we get that by Christmas, I will be very surprised.
And in fact, listening to older episodes for this renaming thing I'm doing, the KSP 1.1 update, we were saying in earlier episodes that back in that time that we were thoroughly expecting 1.1 to be released before Christmas. It ended up actually being and we were sure because there was that much, probably a similar gap as to what there is now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was several months away, and we said 1.1 would definitely be out before Christmas, and then in the new year, we're still talking about 1.1 previews.
Right. Yeah. I remember that.
The release. Yeah.
Crazy. So look, I think it's fair to say that we put the pricing thing to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this should be the last episode we ever talk about that. You're right.
I think so. Ultimately, I think the way that pricing has been dealt with is like that's it. Like they've buggered it up. They've made a mistake. Think about the people who are the early adopters. I think that would be a really appropriate thing to do, because the people who were early adopters are the passionate people that went, well, I played Kerbal 1 for 500 hours or 1,000 hours or whatever. I'm going to go and spend $90 on this game that I'm going to get basically the same amount of entertainment out of, right? That's the sort of thing that's going to happen. So think about those people and do something nice for them. That's my suggestion. Beyond that, as far as these patch notes and the dev notes that followed, really simply, they are still working on foundational bugs. Yep. Baseline bugs. As Aki said, we are going to be waiting months for version 0.2.
For the first drop of content as well.
Yeah. So this is all foundational right now. There's lots of very simple problems, and it will be good to see how they all come about. But I'm not even at Duna yet. Like, I can't even be bothered leaving Kerbin's sphere of influence. I can't even be bothered doing that because there's still those foundational bugs.
Like
and
the
I don't
SOI
want to get
bug.
all the way. Well, right?
Because that wasn't fixed in this.
Anything involving sphere of influence is screwed at the moment. I don't want to get halfway to Elu, for example, halfway to Elu, just going all the way out there after building a massive rocket and lots of different things built in Kerbin orbit to go and get to Elu, and then ultimately not be able to get there because of a sphere of influence bug.
No, it'll probably wobble itself apart before then.
Like that aside, provided the flight goes perfectly fine and there's no issues with the flight and all of that, I don't want to be in a position where I can't node properly.
Yep. And it's actually a very good point as well that kind of raises is save breaking updates. which was a semi-regular thing in KSP1. I don't think they can afford to do that in KSP2. But with early access, it's not something you can rule out.
No.
So people might make, they muscle their way through these bugs to make these colonies or whatever around the solar system for an update to come out, and it completely trashes the save. I don't expect that to happen with KSP2, but it is something that early access players need to be conscious of.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Quick saves. If you quick save and then you quick load and your whole rocket falls apart, that's bad. That's bad. What's the point in having a quick save and quick load function? Really?
But one thing KSP2 is making me do is play KSP1 again.
Yep.
Yeah.
At least the interest is still there, guys. Like, we're still interested. That's why we would still play KSP1. Like, the interest is still there. Just, I understand game development is a big thing, and we're the armchair commentators, and I get all of that. But
it's because we care about it.
We care. We love it.
We want it to be
important to us. We want it to be good. We want to support you guys. We want to make sure that this is the best possible game it can be. Right? Just please. Like, I know you're listening to forums and listening to bug reports and listening to all of that. Please listen to the commentary. All right? Really, really, really important. I'm not saying listen to us. Just listen to the comments. All right?
Listen to your players.
That's it.
Well, actually, we did compare it last episode as well. Digi I know we're rehashing old ground again now, but we seem to do that a lot recently. But
Sorry, I'm catching up, guys. Like, people who are listening to this episode, I was away last time around and have been indisposed, so I haven't listened to the last episode yet.
No, but Digi does have good opinions, and that's why I want his opinion on this stuff. Is comparing it to No Man's Sky, the flop of release of No Man's Sky, but they've brought it back. We're kind of hoping that KSP2 is going to do the same thing. It's horrendous to compare it to No Man's Sky, but that's kind of where it's at the moment.
You know what? I think it is very, very clear that this game has suffered from exactly the same fate. Whether there was an issue with losing the entire development of the game beforehand or not, like that's what happened to No Man's Sky originally. Like, the development, there was like a flood or something and they lost everything and they had to start from scratch. That's why it ended up where it was.
Issue, didn't they?
Yeah.
If you remember with Private Division,
Well,
KSP2 development.
Yeah. And development, ended up being separated between different companies, right? Basically pushed to release by publishers. It's the same thing. And I'm so sad that it's happened again in the industry of game development, that once again we're seeing products be shipped when they are far from the mark because of something drastic that happened during development. Right? It's not fair. It's not fair to the consumers. It's not fair to the people working on it. It's not fair to the industry on the whole, right? And this is where I would love to wax lyrical about it for ages, but ultimately this is a never-ending problem where publishers are, and look, to be completely fair, publishers want their money. I get it. They have their investments and all of that. But when you do this, it destroys brands entirely, and you will only get like 30 cents on the dollar of what you were expecting of the entire rollout of the product. Right? It is a bad investment trying to get money early.
Patience is
That's
a
my
virtue.
opinion. Patience is a virtue. Please, publishers, understand, we know you want your money, but if you ship the shit game, the amount of money you get will be shit all.
You lose the crowd, don't you?
That's it. That's it. You lose the wave. You lose the wave. You lose the interest. You lose all of that marketing budget will be completely and totally wasted because people will go, well, this is crap and I'm never returning to it again. Oh, they're releasing DLC? I'm not interested.
And if you have a, rabid, dedicated fan base like Kerbal, well, wait for something good and complete.
Yeah.
We've got KSP1 to play with in the meantime.
Exactly.
It's not as if we don't have anything.
And you know what? You know what would have been a better idea? Release a demo. Remember the old days when demos existed? Remember?
KSP1 had a demo as well, a free
Pepperidge
demo.
Farm remembers.
Pepperidge Farm remembers, exactly. Seriously, they could have released a cut down demo version of KSP2 and made it literally just Kerbin and the Moon, right? No Minmus, no other planets in the system, literally just Kerbin and the Moon. And that's it. That's it.
And a few parts, enough to
And a
get there.
few parts, right? Like the basic parts that you needed to get to the Moon.
KSP2 needed its own version of 0.13.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yes. 100%. We needed that. Right? And Meta's just referring to the version that was pretty much launch a rocket and it gets out to space. And that's it.
0.13 was the demo, so.
Like, yeah, there was no outer atmosphere, nothing. It was launch rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Launch rocket and control.
Yep.
I think it was basically just a solid booster and a cockpit, pretty much.
There's the SRBs, the single pod, and then an LFO tank, and I think the LVT-45 and LVT-30.
Yeah.
Yep.
Swivel engine.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all you needed to do. All right? If you'd
the
done that,
community
it would have been
would've gone-
perfect.
The community would have gone nuts over that as well. They would have found all sorts of adventures and challenges and things to do, and
Right?
and it just would have grown its own legs and run.
Creativity is the mother of invention in that regard. Like you set restrictions and people will find ways to be creative.
And even with something so bare bones, you'll still find plenty of bugs.
Right? You do things for
there's still plenty
free.
of data.
You do things for free and people will do things for you for free. My brain is going all, Gary Vaynerchuk,
Well,
thank
if
you
I can,
economy
Digi.
sort of stuff. Like it goes for ages. And I will talk for hours about this point. So I'm going to shut up because I know we do need to move on at some point.
Well, we're just saying in the last episode, the when KSP1 was running on Twitch, there were hundreds to thousands of viewers constantly playing KSP1. When we looked before we started streaming last episode, there was 0 in KSP2 and about 80 in KSP1.
A quick
And
tie into
KSP2
that Twitch point. Did you see what they announced the other day?
Nope.
KSP TV.
What,
Did
bringing
they?
it back?
They made a post about being live on KSP TV.
Wow.
Yep.
We were talking about that in the last episode.
Yes, we
weren't
were.
If they'd have done KS. I wonder if they are listening, because in the notes there was a train analog, and we were talking about train the last one. But
If you're listening, give us 3 whistles.
Because we're wondering if KSP TV would help them again. Because Squad, when they did KSP 1, they had Squadcast, they had KSP TV, didn't they? They had the YouTube channels. They had so much going on. I know they were an advertising company, but they had so much going on. And all that KSP 2 has done really is just go on the back of a KSP 1 launcher. That was kind of their advertisement. I think they were really clinging to the back of KSP 1 and hoping that KSP 1 would carry KSP 2 along and do all the advertising for it. It's kind of not worked out that way at all, I don't think.
Like
They seem to...
there are
Go on.
strategies I could throw at them. Right? I mean, that's a whole podcast in itself, right? Ways to salvage KSP2. right, and to market it better, that's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do find that we are repeating ourselves a lot in these last 3 episodes or so.
Yeah.
To be
But
fair,
it's,
we're not getting much to work with either.
What? No, we're not getting much to work with. That's the other thing. And I've got loads of KSP1 stuff to talk about, but as usual, by the time we've talked about KSP2,
Well, you know what?
sort of
All right.
tried ourselves out.
Here's an idea.
Let's set ourselves a rule then. Next episode, let's talk KSP1.
I was just going to suggest that.
Let's do that. We're going to put KSP2 aside next time, and we will talk KSP1.
But wait, Aki, didn't you say you're probably not going to be here next time?
I don't know. I'll do a pre-recorded thing if I'm not.
All right, that works. That works.
All right.
Because I've been playing KSP1 a lot. I've just to summarize it, I've been doing a career and I've got over 100 mods. That's another thing, Digi. Remember back in the good old days when the pre-64-bit you could only have a few mods before you ran out of memory?
Yep.
It's where how far KSP1 has come. So I've got over 100. I think it's over 110 mods I've got.
You could scrape a little more off the top end with DDS loader.
Yeah, OpenGL, Force OpenGL, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do a KSP1 appreciation stream. We'll do a bit of a nostalgia trip. And I've been still working on that list of KSP1 sort of quirks, if you like. You know, the little things like Squeaky Kerbals mod.
Oh, I love that.
You know, those little things that just bring back a wave of nostalgia. And we did talk about them again when Coffee was here, but it wasn't a complete list. I don't know if you were here, did you? If it was Red that was here. But things like silly things like the Mark III command pod. The hatch was off center.
Why did you remind me of that?
I've got a whole list on my phone of things like that. So maybe we'll do that next time if there's not much KSP2 news again, rather than just us just whinging about how KSP2 should have launched, because you know we're the experts. We'll talk about focus on KSP1 again for a nostalgia.
Let's do it as a special. Let's do it as a special.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I've been doing my career and over 110 mods. I'll probably restart the career again because I've just been playing through it. I feel a bit dirty playing it because the contracts are a bit wishy-washy, aren't they? They do go all over the place, whereas I like to go to at least to some degree along the lines of the historic space progression. Because at the moment I've got a Hubble Space Telescope up looking at all these planets and things, and I haven't even gone to the moon yet. Do you know what I mean? It's all a bit backwards. And what I was doing, way before I started streaming, I wrote a blog on KSP1 progress, and I actually spent a couple of years doing it. And it's quite good, actually, looking back at it. But it was basically a space program of the Kerbals going to the moon, and it was all the progression. And for that, I've still got it, and I came across it just the other day, and it's like almost like a checklist of things you need to do in the correct order. And I can use that in like the age of satellites, the age of rocketry, the age of crewed Kerbal flight, and you've got how many missions you need to do or what needs to happen in each of those missions. It's a spreadsheet thing. And you can kind of use that as a guide with the contracts. So you ignore the contracts that are accelerating you a bit far ahead or just a bit out of sequence. And what I thought of doing, actually, is going back to streaming and streaming it. Because if there's one thing of going through this KSP career again, it's how flipping lonely it is when you're not streaming it. Because I've only ever really streamed KSP. Mm-hmm. I've never really played it on my own that much. And doing it on my own, because Kerbal Space Program, and this goes for 1 and 2 now, it's a game of achievements, isn't it? You achieve things. You don't necessarily play it, or not even that progression, really. It's all about achieving milestones. And when you achieve those, especially going back and doing it again, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a feeling of accomplishment. It's not about the money or the Kerbucks, whatever you want to call them. It's not about the science points. It's about achieving. It's about getting your Kerbal on Minmus. It's about getting that orbital probe around Juno. It's about dropping a probe through the clouds of Joule. That's what it's all about, is the achievements. doing it on your own, it really doesn't feel as fun as when you're doing it as a stream. Because when you're doing it as a stream and you got viewers and that, everyone celebrates with you, don't they?
Correct.
And I'm like, yay,
Yeah.
I've landed on the moon again, and then it's all very quiet because it's just me.
And not only that, you can crowdsource ideas, get them involved.
Yes, yeah.
What do we do
And it's,
next? What is the better way to do this? Oh, maybe you should change it over to this particular engine. Oh, yeah, okay, let's try that.
And it becomes a community thing.
Yeah.
All this is hinged off of. So that was, that's what I'll say on that. But that's where I am with KSP1. That's what I want to do with KSP1. So yes, maybe next time we'll do a KSP1 appreciation stream.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
I agree. I certainly agree.
Matoro, do you want to move?
I will delay my KSP1 progression once again until the next episode.
Well, we're going to lock it down. We're going to make it a whole episode dedicated to you, Aki.
No, that's no need for that.
No, I'll just shut up. I'll just sit here and do nothing.
But at the end, we announce his grand return to streaming, right?
Well, it's just an idea at this point because I do miss it.
Coward.
Oh, the challenge!
Wow, that's such the gauntlet's been thrown.
I miss your stream.
You know what we should also do? Real space. Do we want to talk any real space?
I think that's a good idea.
Let's do that.
Let's take it on over to real space. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's a train. I like trains.
I like trains.
But yes, moving on. It's been a hectic 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I know how many weeks we've been away. SpaceX has been busy launching things. I only listed 2 things here because I've been in Florida for a little while, and I saw 2 SpaceX things launch around the large orange thing that ULA launched. So yeah, last Sunday on June 19th, as mentioned earlier, Satria, which is a communication satellite for Indonesia, that launched successfully at what time was that? It was in the evening. It launched at 6:21 p.m. on the 19th. Gorgeous evening for launch. Successful mission, as far as we know. They haven't said anything otherwise. It deployed. It's up there. Yay. Delta 4.
Was that a sunset launch?
No, it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours before.
Okay.
So it was low in the sky.
Yeah. Jeez, it would have looked nice, though.
Oh, it would have. But speaking of sunset, the reverse sunset, Delta launched at 5:18 a.m., about an hour and 15 minutes before sunrise. So while we didn't get the noctilucent effect during launch, just as time went on after launch, while we were picking up all the media, picking up their gear and everything, getting ready to roll out from the press site, you could start to see the exhaust that was left over up in the sky, starting to catch that sunlight coming over the horizon and just glowing.
That would have been wonderful.
It was gorgeous. Some photographers out there caught it. I took a phone photo, but it was out of focus.
It's not quite the same, really.
It doesn't capture it. You have to see it with your own eyes.
Not when you have, the super duper cameras.
Even those really don't capture what it really looks like. It's hard to explain because it looks, obviously it's glowing, but it looks like it's just, it's hard to describe.
Yeah. It's one of those things you need to see for yourself.
Yeah.
To truly catch the wonder.
Exactly. And then, as I mentioned as well earlier, Falcon 9 Booster 1069 launched yesterday. Was that June 23rd? Carrying more Starlink satellites, so whatever. It's a Starlink. It's Starlink. Meh.
Is lots of satellites.
I care more about the launch than the payload on that one.
Yeah, fair.
But that's my quick
Space
rundown
pollution.
on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's my quick rundown on Real Space. I didn't have much time to put anything else on there. So.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one thing I should also mention. Artemis 2 began training. Artemis 2's crew began training this week. So.
Hey. Nice.
It's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. When are we expecting for them to go?
Late next year. Probably
next year.
due to slip into early 2025, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Fair. Oh, well, it'll be very, very interesting.
Indeed.
Very interesting to see it happen.
Oh, and one more thing. The Artemis 4 core stage has begun assembly.
Hey, wow.
Yeah. So things are going on.
Yeah. Far out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's my quick rundown because, well, there really wasn't much to talk about for Real Space.
Yeah. And to be fair, we wanted to make this very much a Kerbal 2 patch notes conversation today. Like, we definitely achieved that. Let's face it. But that's a lot of where our focus was today.
Something.
We achieved something. We achieved what we set out to do wonderfully, and then some.
I want to go back from the Delta 4 point real quick, though.
Yes, please.
Because Delta 4, this was an important launch for Delta 4, not only because it was for the National Reconnaissance Office, but because this is the second to last, as I mentioned earlier, the second to last launch of Delta 4. ULA has sunset and shut down the Delta assembly line and is refitting the area for Vulcan. This thing.
Right.
Yeah, so the final Delta 4 Heavy will be launching no earlier than January of 2024, and it's going to be a sad day when that big orange thing is no longer flying. But
may the Delta series rest in peace.
It has been a
And not in
workhorse for
pieces.
almost 20 years now, so
Yeah.
I was going to say, when it does, maybe do a recap of its life.
actually I like that
That's
idea.
a lot of missions.
It is. Yeah, you'd have to pick and choose a bit, but yeah, just a
The big key moments.
dedicated section. Yeah, the key
That-
moments.
I think that's a good idea for the Real Space after the final Delta 4.
Agreed.
Listening back to older episodes, as I have been doing, we were talking about SpaceX a lot
Mhm.
back in the day, and it's kind of odd listening to us talk about it, because back then we were talking about Elon Musk landing people on Mars by 2024, and they're supposed to be start sending supplies in 2020. Just to give an idea of when we were talking about this, which was mid to late teens,
That didn't
the
happen.
20 teens. No, that didn't happen as well.
To be fair, though, like at that point in time, the lofty dreams were exciting.
They
right?
were,
They were
and it
exciting.
is-
They were newsworthy. They were very interesting things for us to talk about. Right? To talk about the comings and goings of ULA wasn't really front of mind for anyone, really. Like much less us.
Right.
Because it wasn't really pushing the boundaries. Like these were just the comings and goings, the standard things that were happening. But now we're looking back on it, and it's like maybe we're being a bit nostalgic about it, but really, things like ULA's launches are far more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different perspective. It's a different time. I think we've all come into 2023 with a very different perspective on life.
I mean, they're definitely contrast
Yes.
in philosophies in the launch industry.
100%.
And frankly, they may be expendable for now, but it's just a much more interesting launch vehicle.
It is. It really is. It's cute. It's cute. I like it. Can you say that about a rocket? I don't know.
Oh, a rocket's cute.
A rocket's cute.
I don't know if I'm going to say that about Vulcan, Atlas, or Delta.
They tend to
Yeah.
be pretty grand, don't they?
I'll
Well,
say it
they
about New
do
Shepard.
because- Well, yeah. And this would be a moment that would be a perfect segue into Red Ed.
It would.
Talking about cute boom tubes. Unfortunately, we are lacking a panda today.
We are.
It's really unfortunate. Do we want to move on?
I think we'll just have to let Aki take this last point.
Yeah, it's the Titan sub, but
Yes.
hooking it into space, and do you know what? I will talk about it a little bit, just because, again, listening back to the old episodes, sometimes in those, and these are years old now, but we're talking about things that are happening at the time, but they don't have any context. So you kind of forget, when you listen back, you forget what we were talking about. We mentioned something at the time that's current news. When you're listening back years later, you think, well, actually, what was that about? So the Titan submersible that went down to the Titanic in 2023 and imploded, it very much seems. The point is about all of that is the similarities between deep sea and deep space, because there are some. You know, the vessels that are constructed to do these things generally are bespoke.
Yeah.
They are operating in the harshest environments, and there's nothing off the shelf that can do that. Not really. But with SpaceX, Blue Origin, all of that, and with the Titan sub, the privatization of these industries, of going to space, of going to the ocean floor. You know, historically they've always been government driven, but now that there are private companies doing these things, when it does go wrong, who's going to pay to recover these things and do the cleanup?
Yeah.
Because with the Titan thing, it was generally the American and Canadian governments that swooped in to try and salvage or recover or rescue. It'll end up being a salvage now. But ultimately, it's up to the taxpayers to
Cover the cost. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it's going to come down to, essentially. You know, is it fair that taxpayers cover the costs of these private companies when it all goes wrong? Because unfortunately, it does go wrong, and it most likely probably will go wrong again. Now, space isn't so harsh as the deepest parts of the ocean. More people have gone to space than they've gone to the bottom of the oceans. And arguably, the vehicles that go to space are not... They're arguably simpler, because the environment is not in space is not as extreme as it is on the bottom of the ocean. Okay, in space you're trying to keep things in. When you're at the bottom of the ocean, you're trying to keep a hell of a lot out.
Yeah, the comparison is that when you are in space, in a pod in space, you are trying to contain an atmosphere in effectively a bubble with nothing outside, no external pressures, nothing. Everything wants to get out, but all you're trying to do is just hold it in, right? When you're at the bottom of the ocean, you have an atmosphere in a bubble with everything trying to push it inwards, right? The extra gravity, the extra pressure comparable to Earth's gravity or comparable to air pressure is considerably more. And unfortunately, we have seen that with this particular event.
Just for the numbers, I've seen it. The most common number I've seen tossed around is at the depth they were at, it was something like 400 atmospheres of pressure.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my next point. In space, you're trying to keep one atmosphere. I think it's actually less than one atmosphere that they put it to, but argument's sake, you're trying to keep one atmosphere inside the vehicle. And you know what? If there's a leak in the vehicle, they've got spacesuits.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there is another layer of protection. When at the bottom of the ocean, where you're dealing with hundreds, if not thousands, of atmospheres, there's no spacesuit you could probably ever invent that's going to protect you if your craft fails in some way.
Yeah.
Although they're both extreme environments, they're very different environments. And yeah, you know, the taxpayers expected to mop up the mess. The government's going to have to come in and rescue, recover, clean up these accidents if and when they do happen.
There's a whole lot of socioeconomic impacts, I'm sure. Yeah.
I think this is going to be the birth of a whole new load of laws, both under the ocean and outside of space as well, with private companies. Or, like, you know, to be grim about it, Mount Everest. Is it about 200 bodies on Mount Everest now? They can't do anything about them. They just leave them there. And actually, people use the bodies as waypoints and landmarks for progress.
Yeah.
You know, they can't take them down. But also, it's a reminder of how dangerous these things are.
It's grim, isn't it?
It's a reminder. It is grim, but it's the way it is. So these debris that's going to be left, whether it's on the ocean or whether it's out in space, if it's on the moon, or Mars, wherever it is, are going to be going, are we just going to leave these accidents there as waypoints, landmarks, reminders, or whatever? Or are the taxpayers going to have to cough up and go, and the governments are going to go and... But then which government body goes? Especially got international crews.
Look, to be fair...
a very deep conversation.
I mean,
it's a very deep conversation, but to be fair, I don't think we need to move this one, right? It's 500 meters away from the Titanic wreck. Leave it there. Leave it there. Don't bring it up.
And it's essentially a gravesite.
It's a gravesite, yeah.
Well, they want to bring up bits, don't they, to find out exactly what happened, so it doesn't repeat again.
Yeah.
Or take measures to reduce the likelihood.
And I think that's
the safety side of it.
That's probably the big key point, and the reason why we bring it up in this show is that learnings from this event are so very important to us and to the scientific community in general as well. The impact of this event has been quite considerable. Unfortunately, we know exactly what happened from a scientific perspective. To the passengers, we know exactly what happened to them. Will we ever see proof of that? No, because we know exactly what happened to them. Unfortunately, there's nothing to recover of those people. There are parts to recover of the vessel, and that will provide some scientific information, and we will get some learnings from that. So it is really key to learn from these events, and I think we see it time and time again, that what we can gain from events are probably the only silver lining. Right.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're not done.
No, go on.
I was going to say, unfortunately, it takes these sort of events to happen before someone or some people do something about it.
100%.
It's like roads, you know, the roads are 60 mile an hour sign. Cars go 60 mile an hour down it. All the residents are going, reduce it to a 40, it's dangerous. Reduce it to a 30, it's dangerous. No. Someone gets killed. And then you go, okay, now we'll reduce it to a 40.
To take this to the space program, think of the Apollo 1 incident.
Pure oxygen atmosphere.
Think about that, because I was actually at LC-34 for remote cameras. I was on the pad where it happened.
Same pad. That's got to be such a surreal experience.
Yeah, I did just after we had a remote reset opportunity after the scrub for Delta, so I was able to get through that quick, and I just took a moment there just to realize where I was.
Yes. Yeah. What an event that was.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of things will change now. And space and the deeper, I mean, oh God, people always dream about building space colonies. I don't think anyone has ever said, hey, let's build a colony at the bottom of the Challenger Deep. You know?
Yeah, no thanks.
No, they're very different environments. But there is things to learn from both that certainly overlap, because they are extreme environments. But unfortunately, it takes accidents to happen before things are changed. And I suspect that now private companies will see a lot of changes There is the international waters argument, all that sort of stuff, but every company belongs to some country, and I think that'll have to be regulated in some way from now on. I just wanted to raise that point to say there'll be a lot of learning to be done from the Titan sub that is applicable to space, and it's about the privatization.
Yeah.
And obviously standards of safety.
It's going to be a very interesting thing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to be fair, it's probably going to take years before we hear the end of it. So don't expect anything soon.
But just to branch off this discussion, I think it's going to affect more than just the underwater industry.
Oh, yeah, straight out. 100%. And like there's big research groups that do all this sort of stuff already. And there's lots and lots of safety things that are already being followed.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I think it's really going to have in the immediate term is that, billionaires who want to create their own submarine company may be told, no, you're not going to do that without 400 million safety checks, because we're not going to license you to do that because people died last time.
Or don't use carbon fiber for your shell.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Or a Logitech controller for running it.
And I think, my industry is aircraft and black boxes that are actually orange, by the way.
Yeah, they are. It's hilarious.
I think submersibles will probably end up, submersibles. There's a difference between submarines and submersibles, but we won't get into that now. I think you'll find that they'll probably have to be fitted with some sort of equipment that can be recovered, that does have
a tracking device,
data in real
things
time.
like that. Yeah.
Well, that was the first thing we said, because aircraft, part of the black box, which is actually orange, they have built-in sonic locator beacons.
Right.
And the first thing we thought, I was talking about it with the guys at work when this happened, was why is the sonic locator beacon not going off on this submersible? We didn't have
because
one.
I didn't have
Yeah, there was
one.
no EPIRB.
Which is no. I think that'll change from now on. I hope that it does. I hope that it changes.
It's crazy.
Anyway,
Crazy.
It's an awful event, but hopefully it leads to better safety measures.
But unfortunately, it always takes these sort of events before the better safety measures come about. It's like, what can we get away with?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
How
that's
far can we toe that
get
line?
away with it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, I'm done with that.
Well, I think with that concluding, I believe that's about all we had to talk about for real space, which takes us to the mind-numbingly painful section of this podcast. Oh, Digi, I love you. Please hurt me.
Do you want some real science? You want some real science? Some real science right here? Like, forget Titan on the bottom of the ocean, right? Like, this is where the true science is. So, all right. Question number one for you gentlemen. If light travels faster than the speed of sound, how come I can hear the guy in the BMW behind me honking before the light turns green? How is that possible?
Because you've probably got an indicator on and he doesn't understand what it is. So he's warning you that something's wrong with your car.
Because BMW, right. He's being responsible. It's great. Thank you. That's a real clear explanation. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, guys.
I was just going to say maybe he's a jackass.
A donkey driving a car? What?
And there goes all our BMW listeners.
There you go. Exactly. Guys, I'm 38 years old. My eyesight keeps getting worse. I just want to know, at what point do I get adult supervision? When can I expect that?
How much grey hair have you got?
Well, the beard's looking pretty white these days.
When it's all grey.
When it's all grey?
When you've got your bingo wings and certain parts of your body are slapping against your knees.
When you're Santa from down under?
I love it. A little bit of from under. All right.
Wait. But does Santa from Down Under use reindeer, or does he use kangaroos?
No, he uses reindeer. Like Santa's the same.
Wait.
Right?
No, it's crocodiles, right?
Flying crocs. Oh my god, could you imagine it?
Can I
That's
just
hilarious.
say,
Yeah.
one of the most bizarre things about living in Australia, especially when I was living in Darwin, was the amount of inflatable snowmans that you see around the joint. And also, everyone sends each other Christmas cards that are full of snow and reindeers and snowmen. And in the meantime, you're reading these, chuckling away, while you're sweating your swallocks off. In the baking sun.
I remember about probably 15 years ago, there was a real push to try and Australianize Santa.
Oh no!
And there was a lot of cards that you could get that had like Santa in a Hawaiian shirt and board shorts and holding a surfboard and all of these things to try and make it more Australian. It didn't take. It didn't. It really did. Look, it lasted for a little while, a couple of seasons, and every now and again you see it pop up just a little bit, but it's like, yeah,
More of a novelty
we don't really care. Yeah, it's more of a novelty. You know, fancy Aussie Santa. You know, we don't even have chimneys in most cases. We just leave the back door unlocked so that he can get
through
in.
the air conditioning unit.
Yeah, squeeze through the air.
Come through the vents. Yeah.
Even through the air filter that's built into it, just he's like a changeling from Star Trek. Like
He phases. Yeah.
And Odo suddenly harumphs. Guys, look, as we all know, Mars has a very low atmosphere, right? Could we improve it by dimming lights and playing smooth jazz? Or would that improve that very low atmosphere on Mars?
Oh, I don't think I've got anything for that one.
No?
No, it will not.
No?
Because the atmosphere is so low, the sound can't travel through it very well.
That's
So you wouldn't hear the jazz.
You know what we need? Like, doesn't one of the rovers on Mars actually
Curiosity.
play Happy Birthday?
It does, yeah.
Now
It
deploying
does, yeah.
smooth jazz.
Or maybe you could have like those silent discos they do now. Everyone just wears headphones.
Yeah,
That'll
there you
work.
go.
There
Exactly.
you go. There's the answer. Yeah.
Exactly. All of a sudden, all of the all of the rovers just start dancing. You know, love it, love
just
it.
do the
Just their
across
masks
the desert
going.
plains doing the can.
Yeah.
Wait. Just the
Guys.
masks going.
Yeah, there you go.
nodding with the music. Yeah.
It's like headbanging cameras. It's great. Just on the note of Titan, guys, is the ocean salty
no.
because the land doesn't wave back?
Oh, I thought it was going somewhere else.
No, I wasn't going to
Too
go that
soon
dark.
for Titan jokes, yeah.
I wasn't going to go that dark.
Well, no, the ocean is salty because it has crabs on its bottom. Nothing to do with the land.
He wins.
It's a common misconception.
That's great. That's great. That's fantastic. Look, I would normally finish it on that as the high note, but look, I'm going to throw out two further questions here for you. We're going to keep it a short list today. So my wife says that she needs some time and distance. For what reason would she need to calculate velocity?
No, I've got nothing. I've fallen at the last hurdle.
No. Don't end it on that one.
All right, okay, all right, fine. One last one then.
Thank you.
One last one, and we will finish it on this one. Guys, this is a question. As a parent, I need to know this. Why do people come back from baby changing stations with the same baby?
Do you know what? There's probably a statistic that says that they don't.
It probably
There's got to be a
is.
statistic
Oh my
that says
god,
that.
it probably is.
Who's this guy?
Guys, what's the science behind that? We gotta know. We gotta know.
That's a better one to end on. Thank you.
Ladies and gents, thank you very much.
Ladies,
if you have lots of sciencey questions, feel free to send them over.
that's not science, Digi.
Look, I'm doing the best that I can, all right? Don't judge me.
I am seriously racking my brain to try and think of a Velocity Raptor joke for you. But I can't bring them together very well. But it is 2 o'clock in the morning for me. But something to do with the Velocity Raptor, okay?
There's got to be
I can
something.
do right now.
Something.
Yeah, there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, given how late it is for you, Aki, I think it's probably about time. Would you both agree?
Yes. Yes. Let's do it.
We should start this podcast episodes with Digi's science, because that's not science, because it brings up an energy in me, and now I'm full of energy and I want to carry on, but I know that we mustn't.
I get your
it's good to
brain
end on a
moving.
high note.
No, yes, you're right, actually. Yes, end on the high note.
There you go.
And on that note, let's listen to some notes from Popsky as we go into our outro.
Smooth.
Thank you. I thought so.
Silent Disco on Mars, sponsored by Popsky.
And train toots.
Train
A
toots.
train toots.
Toots. But anyways, y'all.
And next time we'll stop banging on KSP 2 and doing a KSP 1 appreciation.
Yes. This is a good
make it
plan.
happen.
Speaking of that, next time. When is next time? I don't even have it listed. I'm good
next
at
time
this.
it would be a fortnight from now, so for our US friends it would be the 8th of July.
8th of July. Thank you. So,
New month.
on that note, thank you all for tuning into Boosters and into the Boosters and Space Tape podcast. We'll be back soon on the 8th of July or July 8th, depending on how you want to say it, depending on how you want to write it, because it's different across the planet.
It is. And for aviation, it's a bloody nightmare because we don't know if they're an American date format or British date format, and it's terrible.
We'll get back to that next time, because we'd
Okay.
like to thank Popsky for our commissioned intro and outro music, which you can find all of his music on his Bandcamp at popsky.bandcamp.com, which is POPSKOYY. You can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, whenever Digi gets to it, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Boosters and Space Tape. You can shoot any questions or feedback to boostersandspacetape@gmail.com. What, no sniper mark, Digi?
No, nothing.
Oh, thank you.
No.
Thank you.
I'm letting you have it. Feel free. Continue.
Bless. To keep up with the live recordings, you can follow here on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv. Shut up, Siri. Here on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv.
Siri's making the snide comment for me. Thanks, Siri.
Good job, Siri. Good job. To keep up with the live recordings here, you can follow here on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Matoro. That's MATORO. To subscribe, you can subscribe to Boosters and Space Tape on various platforms, including iTunes, Libsyn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and, well, basically whatever else we're on, because Aki made us discoverable.
So much discovering to be done.
Indeed. I feel quite exposed.
Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Matoro, and with me have been my wonderful friends, the ever-eloquent Digital Psychosis.
Thank you, sir.
Digi
Take
started
care, everyone.
stripping and he's got the Flash t-shirt on. So I
There
just
There it is. And the and the ever-illustrious, the underscore himself, Akinesis Gaming. Potentially coming back to streaming soon.
Cheerio. Sorry, say goodbye to Digi again because I completely overrode his goodbye.
The illustrious Digital Psychosis, or the eloquent Digital Psychosis.
Thank you once again.
Excellent.
There we go. I could have just fixed that in edit. But...
And the illustrious Akinesis Gaming.
Oh, cheerio. Potentially coming back to streaming.
Potentially coming back to stream. Thank you everyone for watching and listening, and we'll catch you soon for more Kerbal, Real Space, and other cool and sciencey stuff. Have a good one. We are out of here. Bye. Bye-bye now.